Woohoo! Welcome to Hopping on Live 365 day 29. And today I want to share some horse wisdom with you. A little situation happened with me when I was out walking Dusty with my walking group this morning, and it made me realize, it gave me a really big aha. And so I wanted to share that with you. But I thought I'd share it with you outside because today is a beautiful spring day. Can you see what's happening out there? Oh, look at it, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So you'll probably hear the birdies singing in the background, which is always kind of nice. So this morning was walking Dusty, and she had a little altercation, or she wanted to have a little altercation with a smaller pup. She's getting a little bolshy because she's getting her confidence up, and she was having conniptions and decided to do a backflip. And as she did a backflip, her leash got caught up in my wrist, and I went down to try and grab her harness so that I could get a firmer hold on her. And in doing so, this lovely bracelet that I wear, which has horse medicine within it, it pinged, and the beads just went everywhere into the bush, into the ground, into the dirt. And I felt an instant moment of significant loss, which I thought was really unusual. Like I had a couple of tears of truth roll down my cheek. And I thought to myself, oh, all right. So I just tucked that away for when I came back here, to have some quiet space and reflect upon it. And the bracelet that I used to wear on that wrist was the bracelet from Grace, one of the horses at Epona. And Grace's medicine, as you could imagine, is to move through life with grace and ease. And that message was a really important message for me when I was at Epona a while back in the beautiful British Columbia of Canada. And it was a time where it was post me, post separating from my past partner of 21 years. And, where we had decided that we were no longer the right partners, to accompany each other for the rest of our lives. Tough decision to make. And that led to a fairly gnarly time for me, mentally and emotionally. And as a result of it, I sometimes got embroiled within anger and resentment and a significant loss. That was the grieving process that I was going through. And at times I thought, well, I'm not a very nice person. In fact, sometimes I thought I was a horrible person because my reactions were so hot. I was very hot and sharp. And it comes from that whole saying that hurt people hurt people. And I felt wounded even though we made a mutual decision, and so I was nursing some wounds. And when I came to Epona, I had moved through a lot of that wounding, but my heart still felt an aspect of brokenness. And I certainly still felt quite gnarly inside. And so when I met Grace, and we had some beautiful tender moments, and she's part thoroughbred, so she is just the daintiest, graceful thing. She is the embodiment of grace. And, so often she would come up to me and, nuzzle me in my chest, and, and she would just melt and open my heart, and it would soften me. And I thought, that's what I need a lot more softening. And so, whilst I was there, I bought, there's some wonderful jewellery that is made there. And within the beaded bracelets is horsehair from their mane or tails, so that you can wear it as a talisman and a reminder of what you want to embody. Well, that's how I used it. So today, with the passing of Grace, so to speak, when her bracelet shot off my wrist, I felt this immediate sense of loss, and but straight after that sense of loss came the message of passing. There was a sense of passing, and that everything happens for a reason. And so I no longer needed that anchor. I no longer needed that reminder of living my life from a space of grace, you know, both in my reactions, in terms of stepping into compassion, and, you know, in every other way, because that has, you know, that has been embodied within me now. And so when I felt into, when I reconnected with Grace, I thought, what is your message to me? And she said, even though I don't need you now, or you don't need me now, we still love each other dearly. And I thought that was a really beautiful statement that I wanted to share and offer you guys today, because I think there's some space to get curious. There's an invitation here for you, because we go through stages in our lives, whether it's, you know, with you bringing up children, where they don't need you anymore, and that leaves a big hole and a sense of loss. Other relationships with friends and families, or even, in a career aspect, you know, when, as you see your staff develop and grow, when they don't need you, you initially feel this sense of loss. And that's a self-reflection on your own ego, because part of our, and when I mean ego, I talk id, self-identity, that from the Latin word. You know, we associate ourselves. That's, you know, when I talk about the be, do, have model, we associate part of our identity with the having. That's part of our role. With the doing. That's part of our role. And so when someone doesn't need us anymore, or we don't need them, you know, it seems to leave a gap. But really, the message I got was there's this creation of space for you to find something else, for you to take the essence of your beingness, because in the Be, Do, Have model, I talk about the essence of your beingness. So for me, it is, you know, for me, the essence of me is love, joy, grace now, range, you know, all of those sorts of things, compassion, open-heartedness, you know, being present and seeing the beauty of the moment. All of those are my core essences now, and they're what I call my internal infrastructure. And so when you can connect with the essences of who you truly are, then you can take those essences and they get expressed through who you, you know, what you have and what you do. Whereas, you know, earlier in life, we tend to get that a bit arse about. In fact, that we think the core of our being is what we have and what we do, without actually tuning into what is our core essence, what is our core internal structure, what is our core internal scaffolding that everything else then expresses itself through. And so what I realized today was that I didn't need that talisman anymore, you know. And it was a lovely affirmation for how far I had come. And it was also a wonderful moment for me to just to feel in and really acknowledge and realize that I have gone through that transformation. I have gone through that evolution. You know, it's an inflection point. It is, you know, in quantum physics we call it, it's an equilibration point where you move up, right? And once you've moved up past that, you know, the series of triggering and emotional disharmony and everything else that goes with it, you don't go back. You cannot reverse back. That's not a process that you can go back to. That is part of that consciousness awakening. So anyway, Grace gave me that reminder today. And it's kind of funny also because, you know, when I was talking about what I wanted to build into my work and into what I talk about, was how can I bring horse wisdom back into the things that I share, even though I don't have horses. And then bingo, my bracelet breaks and I think of Grace. She gives me this epiphany and I realize what I've moved through and how I have evolved in that space. And it's really powerful because what it does is it identifies you, or it awakens you, wakes you up to the fact that being needed is part of the self-definition that comes in the Be, Do, Have model in terms of doing. And so when someone doesn't need you anymore, or you outgrow them, or, you know, you embody that bit that you were wanting to get from them, you know, in terms of metamorphosis or, you know, that sort of stuff, or, you know, development of capability, then it gives you space to find that new expression of, you know, the essence of who you are. It gives you space to go and find something where you can go and create what your heart and soul desires you to create. So it's actually a freeing up process. It's a step forward into a different space of freedom. And the freedom also comes from the fact that when you realize that who you are doesn't depend on being needed, that is one of the most liberating things you can experience in your life, because you don't actually need other people around you to validate you. You can validate you from inside of you, right? Because of you just living your life and being present and being the authentic person you are. So losing my bracelet today, well, losing it, having it broken, and me re-anchoring into or being reminded about the horse wisdom that Grace brought me, and how I have actually embodied that now. So I no longer need to wear that talisman around my wrist. Was, a powerful awakening for me and a powerful affirmation, validation for me that I have grown and into that space, and I now embody grace within my reactions and in my day-to-day. I'm a lot softer person, and that fits me better. It's a lot of our identity is like clothing in a way. We move through phases in our life where the different essences of us take more forefront and others move to the backstage, are more sort of like a support. And it's kind of interesting. Physical aging is helping me embrace my softness as well. And not that was by choice, but it feels nicer to be softer and more graceful and flowing in that. And even as a nomad, I am so much more accepting. I get less triggered when things don't go the way that maybe they were planned to be. And it gives me, I'm a more malleable person in terms of stepping into different lives for different people. And so I don't get triggered by how things can be totally different. One place might be really rules-based and another place may be absolutely no rules whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was good. So it was a sad moment. I shed a couple of tears of truth, and I thought I was mourning the loss of this beautiful bracelet that had anchored this wisdom for me. And really what it was actually doing was, it was almost like being unhandcuffed and realizing that I didn't have that need to be needed within me anymore, and that I now felt and embodied that essence of grace within me. So I just wanted to share that today because it was a lovely and powerful aha for me this morning, and I think we can all do with a bit of grace, and I think we can all do with a reminder that just because we may not be needed anymore in a relationship or in some sort of form, whether it's with kids, family, workmates, friends, there is always still love and respect and honour there. And that comes from the essence of who you are. So my leaving statement for you is to be more you in any way you can. So thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to catching you tomorrow, day 30. Woohoo! All right, you have a beautiful day. Lots of love.